Hello, I'm hoping that this is working this time, as I don't think it was a minute ago. It's got something coming up now which looks more like the real thing. Okay, while I'm waiting for whatever's going to happen. Oh, Caroline, I am so glad there is somebody there. Nice to see you. I was just beginning to think it wasn't working. Hi, Simona and Laura. Yes, thank you. Yes. I was just sitting there thinking, I don't think this is going anywhere. And Nina and Caroline again and Miriam and S. Yes, it's working. Thank goodness. I'd already joined it twice and it wouldn't accept my password. And so it's always modern technology. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Shall we have a unicorn card while we wait for a few people to join us? Let's see what happens, because there's lots of exciting things to talk about with the Temple of Poseidon. Mother Mary. Let's pick it out. Mother Mary and the unicorns are blessing you. Just look at the light round her and look at the beautiful unicorn that she is always with. She's never, ever without her unicorn, who helps to hold the energy, spreads healing around her, and is just awesome because they've got such an incredibly pure light. Wonderful. What a lovely start to the evening. And Alison and Judy, hi. Okay, because I'm raring to go, but let's wait for a few more people. There's an email here. Oh my God, it says, first of all, I cannot believe what I can, that I saw the day before. And a past life regression in Atlantis, maybe in Poseidon, which is another name for the Temple of Poseidon, as the energy was feminine. Well, actually, the energy throughout Atlantis was feminine. That's why all the temples were round, all the houses were round, everything was built on curving feminine lines. Oh, more people coming. Hello, Angelina and Lana and Hella from Denmark. Oh, Caroline, it was working, so I turned it off, and sorry about that. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Nina and Joanna and Sirpa. Oh, thank you, Alicia. I do like it when you come on. You always say such nice things. Hi, Marsha. And you like the red? Yes, I don't very often wear red. It's very Christmassy, though, isn't it? All the shops are full of Christmas things already. Hi, Wendy. And Nancy. And Miriam, thank you. Yeah. And Alicia and Suzanne. Yes, Simona, Mercury retrograde. And Yusuf Trots and Catherine. Hang on, it goes back again. It's quite soon, I think. Simona, you want to? Laura, Darcy, hi. Jacqueline, anyone around? Oh, I'm sorry, it's gone too quickly. Tina, Joanna. Oh, good. Lots of people are starting. So let's finish this one. I'm saying about the energy being feminine. And there were options to take any form you wanted, as well as spirit or atomic form. Well, that isn't quite true for the people. That was more true for the high priests and priestesses. The messages were telepathic at that time. Everybody communicated telepathically. They hardly had any language. And you hear people saying they can talk in the language, but actually they were nearly exclusively telepathic for most of the really golden period. Is Poseidon Neptune one of the ascended masters? Yeah, his name is Poseidon or Neptune, either. And she also said, oh shucks, if she was a master of Poseidon, and she felt very aware of the ultimate fate of Atlantis. I think there are many people in incarnation now who carry almost like the horror of the ending, and many highly evolved people who were high priests, priestesses, or priests and priestesses or magi or in the priesthood or highly evolved at that time really, really tried to help and feel very guilty that they didn't succeed. And that is a cause of a lot of light workers having problems now. Okay, this is still the same email from Charika. What came to be? Oh, she saw Seraphina as half angel and half dolphin. Well, I think that's a projection. Nobody had heard of her. She said, anyway, what Seraphina is, she works with Archangel Metatron. She is, of course, a seraphim. She's one of only 2 or 3 seraphim who are starting to work with humanity, but she mainly works to help you develop the Antakarana bridge to source. So once you have connected with your higher self, you're building your Antakarana bridge to your monad, and then on to source. And she's helping with all those initiations. Now, Seraphina also runs the training establishments to become an intergalactic master. So if you're in one of those training schools, you will be connected with her. And what Charika says in her email is she couldn't find her she was working with crystals and unicorns to help Gaia, but she didn't find her on any other level. But she felt her power, and she felt very, very powerful. And of course, she's a seraphim. She's a 12th dimensional being who has to bring her energy down to help us. But she is an amazing, amazing being. And just hearing her name, Seraphina, she often shows herself in rainbow lights, is amazing. Actually, there's an orb of her, I think, on the back of one of the orbs books, because she came and said it was very important that we actually captured that essence, that energy, so that she could show that to people. There's another email here from Shelley. Can your guardian angel reveal themselves as a unicorn? Well, there will be absolutely no reason to do that, because your companion unicorn will reveal themselves as a unicorn. So I suspect you're connected to your very own personal unicorn in that. So I was looking at the pictures on these cards, and there is one of the Temple of Poseidon. Now, let me first say something about the Temple of Poseidon. It was built in the very center of the Atlantis mountains in Atlantis, and was the most incredibly powerful place. It was the entire central hub of Atlantis, especially when it came to the Golden Age. And within it, there was a Sphinx, and I'll talk about the Sphinx, the Great Crystal, which of course was a generator crystal connected to source, provided the power for Atlantis, and I'll talk about that. And the 13th crystal skull, the Amethyst Skull, that contained all the wisdom of all the other skulls. So that's amazing. The temple itself was oblong. Now I see that it's being pictured as round here, but it was actually oblong, and it was 300 feet wide and 600 feet long. So that's 182 meters by 92 meters. That's enormous. That's nearly 200 meters long. I mean, the size of it is extraordinary. So it's right at the top of this mountain. It's built of white, black, and red stone, and it's covered with a rose gold metal that was called orichalcum. And every metal connects to one of the stars, and orichalcum connects to the sun. And so it was bringing in all the keys and codes of the sun and Helios, and also helping to hold those for Atlantis. So it was an awesome place. And apparently the people of Atlantis could stand on the land, look up at this temple and see the light of this metal, this orichalcum that adorned the walls and the roofs, just shimmering and shining out into the universe. It must have been totally awesome and inspirational. Wow, incredible. And so, okay, this is actually a guidance card. I hadn't realized that. Here it is. And it says, it's time for new beginnings. Maybe a new concept, idea, or pathway will be presented to you at a much higher level than anything you've previously considered. So review your life from a higher perspective. It says that people look to you for guidance. So you're called on to act selflessly, and speak with authority so that people hear you. Hi, Georgia, from Blandford, back from Paris. Right. I'm not sure that you live near me. Blandford is in Dorset. Anyway, thank you for telling us, and I'm glad you're looking forward to this. Okay, now the very first thing that the Intergalactic Council, who conceived Atlantis and the experiments of Atlantis, did was to build the Great Cathedral. And it was sometimes called the Temple of Poseidon and is sometimes known as the Cathedral of the Sacred Heights. And they had 7 spiritual pillars, 7 pillars of wisdom. And the Temple of Poseidon was right in the middle on the mountain, and it represented one of them. And each one represented a spiritual law. And the Temple of Poseidon represented the law of one. And it affirms that there's literally no separation. Just as we know, if your toe is hurting, your whole body feels out. So if one person on the planet is hurting, everybody on the planet at some level is connected to that and feels it. This is what the law of one tells us, that nothing happens without a consequence rippling around everybody. So if a polar bear sneezes in the Arctic, a grain of sand moves in the Sahara, it's that is the law of one. And it's very, very much coming forward now. It feels to me as this is the most important thing that we're learning now. It's the Lemurian wisdom, the Atlanteans brought it forward, and we're very much needing to get it before the new golden age. And I think that if every single person just remembered that for themselves, it would make a difference. Okay, Poonam, you say that's me. I think this is about a comment I made earlier. You hold yourself back as you felt helpless about Atlantis sinking, and it carries on till today. You've not been able to release it till now. Well, it's time to let it go, because all the time we hold on to that guilt, we are stopping ourselves and the entire planet from moving forward. So maybe we just all affirm aloud, if possible, I now release any guilt I felt about the fall of Atlantis. I let it go entirely and completely, and I call on the unicorns to dissolve that old energy. I am now totally free to move towards the new golden age. Like turn round and look forward instead of back. And so the other spiritual laws that the 7 pillars represented were the law of karma. Now it's very interesting because this is another hint to us that the planet is moving forward so much, because the law of karma is no longer working as it did, because we now have instant karma. Since 2015, the frequency rose to a level where everybody was subject to instant karma. That means that there is an instant response. All these people that are creating havoc around the world are creating more havoc in their own lives at this moment. And then there's the law of manifestation. Like attracts like. So every energy you send out attracts something to you that's similar. Your thoughts, your words, your actions, they all go out on a vibratory level, and that vibration goes into the universe and draws something on a like vibration to you. So you have the power to change everything in your life, because all you have to do, because what you have to do is raise your vibration. Start thinking about what you do want. Start thinking about the joys of life. Start letting go of what you hear on television, radio, and the news, and thinking about the good that there is and the good you can do. And as soon as your vibration shifts, your life changes. All those insoluble problems magically resolve themselves because that old vibration can't find you. You are on something new. Okay, the law of grace. Now, this is about unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion. They all offer grace, and grace dissolves any old karma. It accrues blessings. It brings you love. When you do something under grace, you do it for the highest possible good. The law of responsibility is another of the great pillars. And that's about taking responsibilities again for your thoughts, words, and actions. It's taking mastery of your life. And when you take mastery, you take responsibility for every single thing that's happened in your life or is happening right now, then you can send out energy to change it. I mean, the first thing you can do is say, okay, why isn't this working? Why aren't I getting that job? What is it in me that I need to change? Why isn't my house selling? What vibration in me is holding it back? Then you're responsible and you can start to change it so that your life changes. I mean, instantly. It's an absolute instant thing. Karen says, something big is happening in my throat chakra right now. Feels like she swallowed razor blades and wanting to cough. It came today. Is it about this temple? Well, it could be. This, many people carry an old wound from Atlantis in this temple. And maybe tonight is your chance to release it and say, I now release anything from Atlantis that's holding me back. And a lot of it was because we couldn't speak the truth at the end because everything was collapsing around us. Oh, Catherine. Oh, you're Chirikam, moon. Okay. And it means moon. Oh, that's interesting. So very much the divine feminine energy from Atlantis. Okay. Then there's the law of unconditional love, which is the state of total acceptance and non-judgment. It's an incredible healing energy, and absolute magic can happen when you really practice unconditional love. Okay, Tiziana says, I remember a temple very similar to the one on the card, small, more of a shrine, made of pink and violet crystals, mostly amethyst and rubellite. Yes, every single one of the 12 areas had one main crystal, but of course lots of small ones. And it's interesting that Damien, who drew these, drew it in this fashion. Maybe it was like that at the beginning or at some point. So it's interesting what you say. Okay, then there's the law of intention. And the moment you get clarity about anything and you take a decision, then the universe unlocks things, uncords things, shifts things. The universal energy comes in to help you progress in your life. It literally pushes you forward. And so those were the 7 pillars that surrounded the Temple of Poseidon on which it worked. So the Intergalactic Council, they had the whole concept. They were the architects of Atlantis, and they worked through the high priests and priestesses. Somewhere here I have a high, no I don't. I so carefully put these out before we started. And here we are. I have a high priest and a high priestess. So this one, the high priestess, is the card of feminine power and wisdom. And so it's about not being all logical and rational, but relying on your intuition and your psychic gifts. Because deep within you, there is a knowing. And whatever problem you have, you call on that inner knowing. And that's when magic happens. And of course, the high priest, which is this one, is exercise leadership. Stand up and be counted. Act with integrity. Take clear, wise decision. Empower people for the highest good of all. The high priest is in service, in selfless service. Both the high priest and the priestess are. Now, they vibrated at that time between the 5th and the 6th dimension. And do you know, this is so interesting that already we are moving beyond, because so many people are bringing their 6th dimensional chakras in now. Even if they only stay in for a little while, it means that you can do things that have not been possible to do on Earth since the fall of Atlantis. And the high priests and priestesses had to come out of their body when they moved into their 6th dimensional chakras. And then they could fly along the routes of power, the kind of energetic roadways to other star systems, connect with the wisdom or have consultations with them about what to do on Earth. Well, the fact that so many people are bringing in or light workers are bringing in their 6th dimensional chakras, means that if that's what you do, you can join those who go out into the universe, into the star systems, and bring back wisdom. And this is what is taking our planet forward very quickly into the new golden age. You may not even be aware that you do it. You may be doing it in your sleep, in your dreams, in your meditations, but it's very important. So the high priests and priestesses, there were 12 at any one time, 6 priestesses, 6 priests, and collectively they were known as the altar. They took all the practical earthly decisions about the setting up of the continent, and they took their general instructions from the Intergalactic Council. So each one of those high priests or priestesses governed one of the 12 regions of Atlantis. Each one had a different focus, and only at the beginning, only these 12 could enter the Temple of Poseidon. And the only way to get there was by levitation or flying. And only the high priests and priestesses could do that. Later, more people could, more of the magi and others, very high initiates, could levitate up to the Temple of Poseidon. And in much later times, a roadway was built so that more people could access it. But even though people couldn't access it, they were connected in a number of ways. Now, if I can find the Sphinx, which will probably be the second to last card here. Okay, here is the Sphinx. And you know, they say as silent as the Sphinx. And this is a card of silence, because this holds the secret. The original Sphinx of Atlantis, held in the Temple of Poseidon, had all the information about the universe, all of the Akashic records of the entire universe were in here. So the Sphinx was at the eastern gate of the Temple of Poseidon. It was so powerful, it was a protector, that it sent out an energy that could protect the entire planet. It sent out an energy that could just transmute any negative energy. It could deflect any beings that coming with the lower intent towards our planet. It was a complete and total protection. But now the protection has dropped right down to virtually nothing. And the more energy we send to it, the more it can take its rightful place and start to protect the planet again. And I am talking about the energy of the Sphinx within the statue of it. And of course, the Sphinx in Egypt still holds the energy, but at a very much reduced level. And originally, the Sphinx in Egypt was painted bright red, and it did hold off negative energies from coming to the planet. Oh, Esther, you thought Atlantis was just a story until you had a past life regression under hypnosis. And you're looking forward to uniting with your friends in that life. Yeah. Okay. So that is about the Sphinx. I'm sure I should probably say a lot more about it because it was an incredibly important thing. People, I know what else I could say about it, that at certain times of year, the high priests and priestesses would lift up the trap door that was between the paws of the Sphinx. Remember, it's high, high up. All the people would gather, and the high priests and priestesses would pour high frequency light and blessings onto the people. So literally everybody in Atlantis would gather. There would be vast crowds, and this high frequency energy would come in and bathe them all, keep them all in love. And in exchange, because everything in Atlantis was kept totally balanced, no karma was ever created because it, I'm sorry, I was trying to read something about this. This is something about the explosion. I presume they're talking about the atomic bomb, which was the third experiment. And we are still clearing the energy of that now. It has not been cleared. So I'm talking about the Sphinx, and the high priest was sending the energy down onto the people. And in exchange, the people would send back love and gratitude. And the high priests and priestesses would receive this as an exchange for the high frequency energy and blessings they had sent down. So everything was kept in total balance. And the Sphinx was highly revered because it was an awesome energy inside it. Now, the high priests and priestesses did not go through the veil of amnesia. So that must have been a huge, huge benefit, must have helped them enormously, because the people that came, even though in Golden Atlantis they arrived at the upper levels of the fifth dimension, they still had to go through and forget who they were. And let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say about that. No, I don't think so. We talk about the Great Crystal. Now, it's interesting, again, I don't see the Great Crystal as Damien painted it. Well, anyway, it was, oh, here it is. A vast, vast crystal. It was a power generator, and it generated power directly from source. So source light came into the crystal, and as you know, the crystal was linked into the dome of Atlantis. So Atlantis was a controlled experiment. Every single thing was watched and recorded. Nothing could come into Atlantis or out of it because there was this dome, like a kind of tent, all over it. And the dome was made up of crystal pyramids with a crystal on top of them, and in a pyramid formation, and they were in triangles all over this, a bit like a netting at Christmas where you see the light bulbs all over it. But each one was a generator in its own right. So this was incredibly powerful and important. And this powered everything. If you had a vehicle, if you had a plane or the equivalent of a plane, it was powered by a crystal that was linked in to the dome, into the crystals on the dome. And all the hydroponics, because they grew everything with advanced hydroponics that we are not connected with yet, but we're beginning to get there. And that linked into the Great Crystal too. So the heating, the lighting, everything was generated from that. Amazing. Now, the other thing that was housed in the Great Crystal was the Amethyst Skull. So you had 13 regions in the golden area of Atlantis, all contained within this dome, and on 5 islands, and the climate was different in each one, but the high priests and priestesses could control the weather. And they did this with sound and, well, I can't remember now. Anyway, they did it with certain technology that we haven't got yet. But again, we're getting there. And so every one of them, they competed in Olympic Games. They started the Olympic Games, and they would all travel to each other's regions to cheer each other on, but there wasn't the competitiveness. There was a striving for excellence, but there was none of the competition that we have nowadays. And so that was what was happening. Now Yanni says, Poonam is saying, I now release everything from Atlantis that's holding me back. Great. And you're ready to move forward. And Yanni is asking for a healing from the throat. And we must remember to talk about the final. I was going to mention the birth crystals. I just got some cards out while we were waiting. The 13th skull. And so all the wisdom from each region was placed into a skull. And then all of it was placed into a 13th skull. And that's the Amethyst Skull, which was then in the Temple of Poseidon and is now in the etheric, waiting for us to be ready to bring it back. I don't know. Linda, I have no idea what any of the things are that you're meaning. No, Georgia, I'm not going to tell you about my incarnation in Atlantis. Yes, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. If we've got time, I will talk about the priests and priestesses of the beginning and the end, the high priest and priestesses. Yanni is asking for healing for the throat chakra. So let's all go into the Temple of Atlantis. Let's go into the Great Crystal and let's ask for a release for the throat chakras of everybody, because this is about truth and integrity. So let's close our eyes. Just make yourself really comfortable. Make sure you're grounded, remembering your Earth Star chakra below your feet like a beautiful silver ball, grounding you, getting bigger as it connects deeply into Lady Gaia. And then be aware of your beautiful, beautiful unicorn floating through the air towards you and stopping right in front of you. And just take a moment to greet your unicorn. It's already doing some healing. It's putting light from its horn of light right into your throat chakra, everybody. Breathe it in. Ask for the highest source light to come through the unicorn into your throat to heal everything that needs to be healed and bring you up to a higher frequency. I've just asked the unicorn, do you want us still to go to the Temple of Poseidon? And nodding. In fact, there's a whole lot of unicorns have come in together. Like their energy wants to come with us. And everyone that's tuned into this, they will be helping you. And so in front of you is a golden bridge. Oh, okay. They're taking us to a golden level. And you're walking across this bridge on your unicorn. It's going quite slowly. As you move slowly over and over that golden bridge, back into the peak time of the golden era of Atlantis. And as you step into Atlantis, you might be aware of a shift in energy, a dimensional shift, a much lighter, higher, joyful feeling of oneness. You're rising up on your unicorn and you can see people gathered below you. And it's as if you know them, you're waving, they're waving. There is no separation, even though you are flying above them right up the mountain towards the Temple of Poseidon, the Great Cathedral of the Sacred Heights, which is shimmering golden. It's pink gold in the sunlight. Oh gosh, what I'm seeing is that as the sun is shining off, reflecting off the roof of the temple, it contains keys and codes. It's bringing back memories, coming into your energy fields. And you're allowing those keys and codes to light you up. And your unicorn is landing in the main courtyard of the Temple of Poseidon. Okay, one of the high priests or priestesses is now coming out to greet you. Might say its name. There were many, many, many over the years that came and went as high priests and priestesses according to the frequency of their region. So a high priest or priestess is greeting you now. And is leading you into the central room, the very sacred central chamber within the cathedral. You're asking if you have permission to enter. And once inside this beautiful room, you see 12 glorious golden thrones. You may feel you want to sit in one. You may feel you belong there. Or you may feel you want to be outside the circle of thrones. Wherever you are, there is a message for you. And now you are being taken to the Great Crystal. Before you go there, before you approach it, ask for the healing that you want. So if you want healing for your throat chakra, ask for that. And then with your high priest or priestess, go to the crystal. You may touch it. You may put your forehead to it. Its energy will always be perfectly calibrated to you. You may feel yourself being surrounded in a color. You may hear angels singing. You may feel you're being touched by a higher energy. And you're breathing in source energy through the crystal. Just connecting with the great crystal brings you in connection with source light. And then, when you feel you've received enough from the great crystal, you may come back into the main courtyard again. Thank the high priest or priestess. Notice anything about the great crystal that you would like to remember. You may want to walk to the eastern end, where the sun rises, and see the Sphinx, the original, incredibly powerful, high-frequency Sphinx. Okay, they're now saying that you may go to a sacred place in the temple where the Amethyst Skull is held in the inner planes. You cannot touch it, but you may look at it. And you may receive a telepathic download. Remember, all the knowledge and wisdom of all the regions of Golden Atlantis is now held here. And then return to the main courtyard. And thank your high priest or priestess if you haven't done so already. Get onto your unicorn. And then you're floating away, turning to look back and see the incredible, enormous, powerful Temple of Poseidon, home of the high priests and priestesses. And then your unicorn is bringing you back to the bridge. And the bridge is bringing you back through the dimensions until you return to where you started, but at a higher frequency, with more keys and codes of wisdom and knowledge unlocked within you, with more memories released. Thank you, unicorn. And then open your eyes. Wow. And it would be lovely to hear what you experienced. Feel a resurgence of energy evolving the next few months or bring light workers close again. Fabulous. A few something impatient, but they will return soon. Wow, that's lovely. Yeah, Marie, the sixth dimensional chakras are in some of my books. And and journeys through them. Okay, Wendy, you felt you were, when you were in front of the Sphinx, you felt you'd been there before. I'm sure you had been. And also walking up to the pyramids. Well, don't forget that Serapis Bey took his tribe to Egypt, and all the energy from Atlantis that he remembered, he and Metatron oversaw the building of the pyramid. Yes, the crystals memorized everything that had happened, Suzanne. That's right. So, I mean, all the information from each of the 12 crystals was then placed into the amethyst crystal. Yeah. Oh, Wendy, you thought you dreamt it, but you've been there. Yeah. Heart opening, energy transmitted now. Yes, you can call whatever healing you want, Lupita. Oh, absolutely. Essa, the crystals weren't all from Earth. The crystals and metals, many of them are from other planets and have left Earth again now. But of course, as soon as the energy is right, they will come back again. Oh, you touched the crystal for ages, Hilary. Great. Oh, you felt a bit shaken because it was so powerful. It is powerful. Yeah, very, very powerful. Okay. Angelina, it was emotional. First, you didn't want to enter the temple, lots of resistance. Then you didn't want to leave. Yeah, I'm sure, because it will bring back memories, feelings, energies. It is powerful. Oh, Helen, you had lots of downloads. Oh, and Helen, you saw it all. So you had lots of golden light from Carol. You felt so much love from Elizabeth. Caroline. Wow, Sirs, I like that one. Ah, you felt that you've got some healing in your throat. Good, actually, that's what we went for. And nobody's mentioned it except you, Seville. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name. Okay, wow. Well, that was really interesting. Touching a crystal was awesome, says Angelina, with diamond shape. Oh, okay. Catherine, yes, you already wanted to go to the Amethyst. You were there. Okay. Jennifer, is the unicorn energy cold? It went really cold. It was beautiful. It can be whatever. It depends on the frequency coming in. Okay, Poonam, the universe seems to have shifted. Lovely. And Janine, you had white robes. And you saw the amethyst skull full of light floating in a dark space, Francesca. Okay. Beautiful energy and lots of dust, says Renee. And you felt at home, says Mary. I think that is it. When we talk about Atlantis, yeah, and you remember, look, it's got a different cover now, but there's Discover Atlantis. It's got a totally different cover now. And The Wonder of Unicorns is coming out again with, again, a totally different cover and lots and lots of illustrations. So, anyway, that's been really good. Oh, Pernilla, you cried. You didn't want to leave. It was so powerful. Felt you were coming home. Yeah. I think people are taking time to get over it. Okay, Catherine, that's interesting. You sang with the crystal and the skull, sending so much love. The whole place felt like home. Yeah, maybe we should go back to Atlantis more often because it brings back those memories. I was going to talk about the birth crystals, but we didn't have time. Arena, oh, good. Your throat's much better. I'm glad. Oh, Katerina, download from the crystal skull. I'll see you in Hamburg, I think it is, at the weekend, Katerina. Healing from my unicorn was fabulous from the main crystal. Incredible. Great. Oh, well, it's lovely. And it's time to end it. And so just to mention that next Wednesday from 7 to 8:30, I'm doing another Zoom on spiritual drawings, spontaneous drawings. And this time to find out about your relationship with your unicorn. And so on the picture, just Put a picture with all these things in, making a picture, make a story of it. A unicorn, a bridge, a river, a moon, a bird, a person, and a boat. I'll say those again. Unicorn, bridge, river, moon, bird, person, boat. And remember, children love to do this as well. So if you join the Zoom, your children can do these pictures too and learn about themselves, where they are and their relationship with the unicorns and other things. Okay, the week after we're doing healing, all kinds of healing. That's the next Zoom, sorry, on December the 1st. And that actually promises to be very powerful indeed. So I look forward to seeing a lot of you next Wednesday, and the week after, I shall be filming the promo for the video. So there won't be a Facebook Live that week. But lots of love to everybody, and see you soon. Take care, and just go back to the Temple of Atlantis and get some more healing and connection. Feel at home.